Hello, everyone, and good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. And thank you so much for joining us for the final interview of the month of August here on Tales from the Wandering Scribe. As many of you know me, I'm Gabriel Garcia, the Wandering Scribe and the Wandering Quill. And joining us today is a narrator who you may remember who did a snippet of one of my books during Human Voices Only, who is now making their official debut here on the show. Now, with a warm, bright, and full of heart personality, this narrator brings a touch of charm and playfulness to every project. With over 2 decades of experience in acting and singing, she knows how to connect emotion to story and breathe life into every line. Whether it's a cozy commercial, a heartfelt narration, or a character full of sparkle, her voice makes listeners feel instantly at home. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's give a huge round of applause to our guest today, narrator Jennifer Beau. Jennifer, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. So thank you for inviting me on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, Jennifer. I am so excited to have you here and to be our final guest for the month of August before we go into the month of September. So before we dive in,
Mhm.
I actually did have a little icebreaker question. So
Okay.
in your bio, you have a background in acting and singing, and I'm very curious. What was probably a favorite memory from those years, from those moments?
Oh man, my favorite memory has to be it kind of combines both of them. So I did this musical called Nonsense where I was a nun. And I think did my screen freeze? Oh no. Oh gosh. So I let me close out some tabs really quickly and see if that helps out. I have ADHD, so I always have a million tabs open at all times of things that I'm like, I may want to go back to that. So I close those out. Hopefully that helps. But my favorite memory kind of combines both theater and musicals. I was in a stage production of a musical called Nonsense,
Ooh.
where I was a nun and also a ventriloquist. And my character's name was Sister Amnesia because she couldn't remember her name or anything about her past. And it kind of went through this journey of her discovering by the end of the show exactly who she was. And she was going to be a country music singer and everything, but realized that she was always meant to be a nun. It was just such a fun production, and I have really fond memories of that, and I actually have the puppet that I
Ooh.
performed with. The director gave it to me after the show, so that's one of my favorite memories and stuff. The puppet's very creepy. I keep her hidden away, but I'm almost tempted to put her, like, in the background somewhere, just possibly to freaks people out.
Love that, Jennifer. Absolutely love that. And that
Uh,
kind of leads into our next question, which is so during this period of, acting and singing, where did the drive for narration come about? How did that aspect manifest itself?
it's kind of a funny story, and this goes back to me kind of having ADHD. So I work a corporate America job. I've been at this company that I'm with for 20 years, but back in 2017, I was listening to a podcast at my desk while working, and it was about side hustles, and one of the episodes was about voiceover work. And I
Mm.
thought, "Hey, I could do that. That sounds really cool." And so I that night I got on Amazon, I ordered, like, the complete little set of an interface, a microphone, all the whole, like, deal. I played with it for, like, 2 weeks, and then the dopamine wore off, and I put it at the top of my closet, not to look at again until probably 2023, the end of it. I just thought to myself, I was like, there after COVID, you know, COVID shut down the theaters and stuff like that, and
Mhm.
after that, I kinda got used to home life and everything of that nature, so I didn't go back to the community theater or improv or anything of that nature, and by 2024, I was really missing doing that, that outlet of performing, and it just came to me, I thought about it, I was like, "I really need to give it another go and actually try this time of
Mm.
voice acting." I took lessons and got into audiobook narration and then also, just voice acting in general, and the rest is history. I've really stuck with it, and it's been such a fun journey. I really, really enjoy it, and I have not let the dopamine rush, um, dissipate or control what I do with this journey. So,
Nice. That's
yeah.
awesome, Jennifer. That's amazing. So, I'm very curious for our viewers and listeners, what's the most recent project that you've worked on that you always like to tell people about?
The most recent project I did was a romance audiobook, called My Valentine is an Alien.
Ooh.
It was so fun. It was just the best time of, narrating that. I've really gotten into recently monster romances and then,
Mm.
um, out of the box romances, kinda like that. Um, and My Valentine is an Alien was just by Allison Voss, was just the best time recording that because I got to play several different characters, but also to be an alien. So,
Mm.
how fun is that? What other job can we be like, "Oh, I don't know, I played an alien this weekend." So, that's my newest project that I'm really proud of.
That's awesome, Jennifer. That is
Yeah.
amazing. So now let's dive into, the behind the scenes of what goes on in a narrator's life. As one of my friends says, whenever I ask this question, it's like behind the curtain or in the recording booth, in the
Uh-huh.
recording. I kind of like that. So describe to us your day-to-day routine as a narrator. Are you more of
Oh.
a night owl or more of a morning person?
My goodness. I am a little gremlin and I don't have a routine at all. So my days can vary and my light went out. So my days can vary drastically. Um, and so I never know if I'm going to be able to record in the mornings or able to
Mm,
record at night. So I'm right now don't have a set schedule of I only record at night or I only record during the day. But I do make sure that for whatever project I'm working on, I try to stay consistent with that project. So if I start that project recording in the afternoons, I try to make sure that I only record that project in the afternoons because I want my voice to sound as similar as possible.
right.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Now, this actually is a fan question that I've actually been getting a lot, especially by those who are very intrigued by narrators who work in like the romance category, the romance genre.
Uh-huh.
And they've been seeing a lot of like the romance genre just explode with like, romantasy, dark
Yeah.
romance, monster romance, and just romance narration is like at an all-time high. So I would like to know, in your opinion, what is it about narration in that genre that just
Yeah.
entices people, that just pulls people in, as opposed to narrating in other genres?
I think it's an escape. It's an escape from reality and everything. I think it's especially for women, it's kind of it's you wanna kinda get that warm and fuzzy feeling and everything, which romance offers. It offers us that little warm and cozy feeling of, "Are they or aren't they? What are they gonna do?
Yes.
Oh my goodness." And I think for the modern women, we have so much on our plates and everything. Whether you're a mom, you're working a full-time job, you're, a pet mom like myself, whatever. Well, people as in general right now, we're so we have so much going on. And, social media doesn't help with that. There's
Mm-mm.
always things that are trying to like grab for our attention. So it's so nice to be able to like pick up a book and just dive into it and live vicariously through these other people. Um, and I don't know, romance is just kicking off because I think we just love love. So I think that's what's going on. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah.
It's true. It's true. I've seen like as like a reader,
Mhm.
I've seen so many romance books get adapted, especially a lot of indie romance books have been adapted
Yeah.
into narration, which is absolutely insane. But this kind of
Mhm.
goes into another fan question that I've also been getting asked a lot by people who watch my videos of the interviews or have messaged me privately on my website. And this is, I love this fan question because something that I always bring up to the table is, especially for narrators who go into the romance
Mhm.
genre, spice is very, very prevalent, and not in all romance genres
Right.
or subgenres,
Yeah.
but it is a very, very enticing thing that sometimes is added. But I'd
Mhm.
like to hear your thoughts on, narrators don't necessarily have to do spicy narration scenes if
Yeah.
they don't want to, if they are uncomfortable. I mean, they do have that option of saying no.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's so many if anyone feels uncomfortable, there's so many what's called closed door romances to where that's not even in the books or anything. It's very closed door. So that doesn't happen. I think that genre is starting to grow more as well. Um so yeah, if anyone feels uncomfortable, I know for myself at first it was very strange, and I got the
Mhm.
giggles a lot of like, "Oh my god, I can't believe I said that. What?" And then it's like any other job, the more you do something, the more it's like, "Oh, okay, well, that's just it is what it is." But I do, highly suggest to everyone, if you have, a boundary or anything like that, don't cross it.
Right.
Always stick with what you feel the most comfortable with, because if you don't feel comfortable, the listener will be able to hear, "Oh, they did not feel." I can tell they felt a little awkward saying those words, so
Absolutely. Very true. Very, very true, Jennifer. Now let's kind of go into another aspect of the behind the scenes, and that is, of course, working with the author and bringing the characters to life. Now, I've talked to a lot of my narrator friends on the show for many years now, and they've kind of given like a little behind the scenes scoop, which is something that maybe people may not be familiar with, is the 15-minute mark when it comes to either narration or just character speaking. And
Mhm.
correct me if I'm wrong, Jennifer, but
Yeah.
that 15 minutes is usually like the make or break period. If like an author and a narrator realize, okay, we have the same ideas, we know we're going with this, or if things need to change, it's at that moment. Because I'm pretty sure you've talked with other people, other friends in the voice acting narration world where they have narrated a majority part of the book, but then when the author hears it's like, I don't really like that. Can you re-say it again? Even though they approved the voice beforehand.
Yeah, it's it's pretty common now for especially for narrators that are seasoned and everything.
Hmm.
That 15-minute checkpoint is the one place where the author can say, "I don't care for that. I would like you to change how that character sounds or this character sounds." Um, and after that 15-minute checkpoint, it's the narrators you are entrusting the narrator to fulfill the vision that you had for that book or fulfill what the narrator feels like that book should say, like, anything of that nature. Um, because it it you could really get stuck in the weeds
Hmm.
of of going back and forth and everything of that nature. And one thing about narration is we don't just hop into the booth and just read what's on the page and then that's it.
Nope.
I wish it was that magical, but there's a lot of work that goes into prior to recording and then also during recording. And so if we added on the task of changing like every other chapter or anything like that, it would be such incredibly daunting process that it would just it would just it would just be way too difficult. So,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's not that narrators are like, "Nope, my vision, that's it, that's all. We're the end all be all." It's not like that at all. It's just the fact that with time constraints and everything of that nature, we can't keep going back and forth changing everything. But luckily, I've never had that problem. I only had a problem one time where the author and me, the very last chapter, we didn't, I didn't envision the emotions that she envisioned the character having.
Mm,
But because it was the last chapter, I didn't mind going back and re-recording that chapter to make sure I was hitting the notes and the emotion that the author wanted. So that's the only
absolutely.
time I've had that issue, but yeah, the 15 minutes kinda is the end all be all. So,
It is true. It is
yeah.
absolutely true. So now let's kind of go back to your most recent project that you worked on, the
Uh-huh.
romance story. Now, once you got to meet the author, learn a little about them, as well as the story, and
Yeah.
ultimately when you said yes, what was the overall promise you're making, not just to yourself, but also that author's readers, as well as the goal mindset, if you may?
I mean, the whole goal for me is to take the audience on a journey to to take them exactly where the author is wanting them to go. The whole goal for me was to make these characters seem like real people. Whenever
Right.
I was talking as the FMC, I want the audience to believe that I am that character. And this is just me talking to you. This is exactly what's going on. I'm on a spaceship and can't believe kind of a deal. So that is my goal that I'm always trying to do is to make sure that I'm not just to make sure it doesn't sound like I'm just reading words on a page, but that I'm that character and I'm taking you on a journey.
Well said again, Jennifer. Well said.
You.
And speaking of characters, let's talk a little bit about that now.
Yeah.
I imagine as a narrator, there are probably many characters that the author wanted you to voice, but
Uh-huh.
as much as, you know, as I've talked to a lot of my friends in the narration world, we always can't say yes to all the characters. There's sometimes either going to be another narrator in the call that's going to take some of the characters
Mhm.
and you'll be assigned the other characters. So I'm very curious. How did you make the characters feel authentic to the world? Because as you said, you
Yeah.
want to take the readers on a journey.
Yeah. So for me, the FMC is always me. It's just me talking and stuff. So I try to make the FMC sound as much like myself as possible because I think that's is the most convincing. Um, and then every other character, whenever I'm doing my, reading the script and everything like that, I write down characteristics of that character so that
Mm,
whenever I'm reading and stuff like that, like for myself, I'm just like this is just how I talk. But like for the main male character, like I'm usually sitting upright, like my shoulders are back, kind of a deal. Um, and so every character has their own kind of physical characteristics so that whenever I'm talking as that character, I can immediately be able to go into that character. If that makes any sense. Did I derail the question?
no, no, that actually works because that actually kind of leads into
Yeah.
the follow-up question, which
Okay.
may be a little difficult because I
Uh-huh.
usually ask authors this in terms of, you know, which character was their favorite and one that was really a struggle. But
Yeah.
now I'm going to ask you the narrator side of that question, which is of the lines of dialogue that you have said for either the female main character or just a line of exposition, which
Mhm.
one was your favorite to say? And which one made you stumble? Because I have learned from my narrator friends, especially those that do accents, there are certain words that they
Mhm.
cannot say as the characters, and it's just so funny. Those are some amazing bloopers.
Yeah. My favorite line that I've done is probably from My Valentine is an Alien. And it was the scene where the main male character, who's an alien, he's always lived in space, is talking about how amazing space is. And I don't remember the line specifically, but he talks about a shooting star or the light from a star. It traveled 10,000 years just to reach us, and it's probably already dead and gone, but it didn't give up hope, and it didn't give up its journey to reach us. So basically, like, don't give up hope, don't give up kind of a deal. Um, that was probably my favorite line, and I got to do my male main character voice delivering this epic line that I can't remember. But that's probably my favorite. And as far as words that trip me up, so I'm from Alabama. I'm born and raised in Alabama. It's taken me years to draw my Southern accent back enough like this to where it's kind of a, I'm hoping, I'm hoping it's a neutral accent where my Southern accent doesn't come out too much. But any words that have ends in like a KS or KS, like risks, um, anything of that nature always trips me up because I feel like I'm going so I
Mm.
feel like I have a really awful stutter going on every time and I have to stop recording and be like, it's risks, not risks. So any those words always trip me up.
All right, all right. Now, kind of switching the question a little bit, I'd like to ask, about, when did you tell your friends and family that you were embarking on this? Because
Uh-huh.
I imagine they already knew that you already had a background in acting and singing.
Mhm.
But when
Yeah.
did you feel comfortable, telling friends and family that you were embarking on this new journey and that you were very, very serious about it?
So as far as, like, family, I told them at the very beginning, I always have these weird harebrained ideas, and so it was just kind of like, "Oh, I'm gonna try audiobook narration. I'm gonna try being a voice actor and stuff," and they kinda were like, "Okay, alright, cool." So from the very get-go, I told them I try not to hide anything from my family because we have a lot of, everybody knows everything kind of a deal. So I'm like, "Oh, might as
Ah,
well tell everybody." As far as, like, friends and stuff, I kinda kept everything close to my chest until after a couple of books and everything, and I kinda was like, I mean, I do this, but I never kind of brought it up to, like, "Guess what I'm doing? Here's what I" kind of a deal.
right.
Although they might say that differently. They might be like, "No." From the very get-go, you're like, "Oh my god, you." But in my mind, I was very demure about it, so we'll see.
Okay, all right. So now let's transition into my favorite set of topics, which is, of course, the reflective side of being a narrator. And I actually start with something that you kind of brought up
Yeah,
earlier, which is, when you decided to, embark on this journey, you got equipment, took classes, you did a lot of research.
mhm.
And from like I guess, an iceberg question for this set, what really surprised you initially about the narration voice acting world? And from your research, what did you find to be the biggest myths about this industry?
So, I'm gonna start with the first one. The biggest thing that shocked me was voice acting is really just using your own voice. It's not trying to make your voice sound pretty, which was such a hurdle for me for forever. I
Mm-hmm.
always wanted to be like, in your mind, you're like, "Oh, I have to make my voice sound so pretty," like, the main character, blah, 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 blah. She went on a walk, blah, blah, blah. And I got so much feet, and it took me so long to realize that no one wants to listen that you only want to listen to that if it's like meditation, stuff like that to like put you to
Right.
sleep. As far as audiobook narration and commercials and video games, you kind of just want to sound like a real person, which means
Hmm.
you don't have to make your voice sound pretty. Um, I guess another myth to lead into that is that you have to have a pretty voice to get into voice acting, and that's not true at all. Um, there's so many different characters that need like a gruff voice, or so many characters that need a nasally, high-pitched voice. So you're there's no like, "Your voice is great, you should be a voice actor." I mean, if you study and you're an actor and you try to hone the craft, almost anybody probably could become a voice actor in some capacity. So it's not this, like, elite deal, I guess I should say.
Hmm.
Um, Never hold yourself back is all.
Absolutely. And then, of course, even like fellow authors and fellow creatives, making a presence online is
Oh
also
my
something
goodness.
that is
Yeah.
important as well. Especially also as I talk to a lot of people, some people are very, very private, are very, very
Mhm.
camera shy, and that's kind of a struggle if you want to get
Yeah.
your name out there. So can you share with us the steps you made to create your online presence, and what
Yeah.
was that like initially?
Oh, it's been so difficult for me. So I grew up with MySpace and then Facebook and then Instagram and everything. And then I don't know, I think my 30s, I kind of was like, I'm over that. That's so passe. I don't want any to know what I'm doing. And so there's been at least 10 years where I did not post online, and I didn't post anything about what not really. I didn't really post anything about what was going on in my day to day and stuff. Um, and then once I became a voice actor, I realized I need an online presence, especially with the rise of AI and everything of that nature. I
Yes.
need people to know that I'm a real person. And it has been such a struggle getting back in the habit of posting online, creating content, and everything of that nature. Um, it's been a wild ride. I do enjoy it now. Um, because I think I've found, which this is like a whole branding thing of like once you find your colors, your aesthetic, everything like that, it starts to become easier. But it was tough.
Hmm.
Especially like you said, for somebody that is like, if you want to be private, you're kind of like, I don't necessarily want people to know what's going on in my day to day. It's weird. It's tough, but it's like one of those things you just kind of have to do. I don't know. How do you feel about it?
It is tough. I am not for a long time I did not have social media.
Yeah.
Instagram was only sort of like, I didn't even have Instagram for a long time. I think I just got it like maybe like 2018. And that was
Hmm.
just to connect with, some artist people that I had followed and met and everything like that. And, just posting online, nothing really too serious. But it's when I started making my YouTube channel and I started getting traction. That's when I realized, okay, I can actually do something with this. And I think now, just looking back, I'm actually have it right next to me. I think on Instagram, as of right now, I've had 726 posts, have 2,699 followers, and I'm following almost a little over close to like 10K people
Yeah.
over a span of like 8 years. So that's been
Nice.
a long journey in the
Yeah.
process. And I'm not big on social media. Instagram, Blue Sky, which is very recent, and LinkedIn have been my only sources of social media. I don't do
Yeah.
Facebook. I don't
Yeah.
do X. I don't do TikTok. I don't because I don't have the the capacity to, make posts and everything. If I do make
Yeah.
posts, it's mainly just for, people that I have interviewed. But it's a lot. It is
Yeah.
definitely a lot. And it is, sometimes very, very frustrating to, as I'm sure you'll definitely agree, to post or to make content, and hopefully to see if the algorithm works in your favor. But
Right.
in some
Yeah.
cases, it does. And I think what I think a lot of people do enjoy, especially when it comes to narrators, that a lot of authors really look forward to, is Human Voices Only Day, which,
Yeah.
for those that don't know what I'm talking about, that is a day in the social media world where authors connect with narrators, sending them snippets of either a work in progress, an upcoming book that's going to be released, or just something fun. And in turn, it also gains the narrators a little more experience, helping them grow their platform and just have a little fun. And Jennifer, I know that's how you and I actually connected, was
Yeah.
through Human Voices Only. So I'd like to, interested to hear how that is meant to you as a narrator to have that opportunity to, showcase your talents with these various snippets that people send you.
I love Human Voices Only Day. It was such a blast to me because I'm not an audio engineer or anything of that nature, but I wanted to test my abilities of adding music and stuff. So I wanted for every author that I was able to do a snippet for, I wanted the post to really feel like kind of immersive experience with music and everything of that nature. So I was super proud of what I created for everybody and everything. Um, it also is just a fantastic day to remember that authors and authors, you guys are human, you're writing things
Hmm.
with your own brains and everything of that nature, which is fantastic to me. I am not a writer whatsoever. Um, and then also, the human aspect of narration, of how we want humans to bring character and life and, emotions and everything that AI really cannot do. Um, so it's a fabulous day. And also, it's just a fabulous day for authors to be able to connect with new narrators or narrators to connect with authors and really come together and collaborate and make this amazing experience for viewers of both sides.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I guess also from that point, let's talk about probably the big elephant in the room, and that is, of
Mhm.
course, AI and AI narration, which, as I'm sure you have definitely have a lot of thoughts on with
Yeah.
ACX and using AI narration, which has been cutting out regular authors, and it's not cool. It is absolutely
Right.
not cool what is happening. And there's so many sides to this.
Oh
And
yeah.
what I mean by that, viewers and listeners, is that, for indie authors, especially myself included, it's not easy to get an audiobook made. It is not cheap. So the AI narration is a little bit more, uh, I
Yeah.
don't want
It's
to say profitable, but it's definitely
cost
another
effective.
alternative.
Yeah.
It is an effective one, but it doesn't have that same,
Mm-mm.
emotional weight to it, because I have listened to not only Jennifer's narration of one of my books, but also a very special project that she and I worked on,
Oh,
which is going to be a part of a huge anthology, which I am very excited to announce later in the year once everything is all settled,
yay.
and many, many more. And it is so sad that, technology has sort of crept its way into the creative world. And I would just like to hear your 2 cents on it, Jennifer, and what you ultimately think the future is going to look like.
I think I'm not as pessimistic, I guess, about everything. I
Hmm.
feel like this is just kind of a bubble where AI is this new shiny thing, and people are like, I'm going to have AI write a book and everything of that nature, and I'm going to like put it out there. And I think it's kind of a bubble to where it's going to explode eventually because I think that because the audience does not like AI narration, and the
Mm-mm.
audience also really doesn't like pretty, once you start picking up on things, it's pretty obvious what is been written by an AI and stuff. I'm not necessarily super like scared of it eliminating voice actors because like I said, the audience doesn't like it, and also there's a huge pushback against it from everybody basically. And then also it just people are not buying AI narrated books. So, yes, it is cost effective. You could have a book narrated by AI for free, but if that book doesn't sell, then you're not really making any money off of it. You just have a,
Mm.
a book out there that nobody really wants. I'm not going to bash anybody that has used AI. It's super appealing and it's super kind of one of those things that if you use it, it gets almost addictive, like, kinda like social media, like, "Oh my,"
Yes.
I'm just gonna, like, start using it, and so I found myself in that little, deal at one point where I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna have I don't know how to edit video, so I'm just gonna have AI create this deal, this, like, cartoon, and then I can use that to see if I can make a video." And I did one, and I was like, "Okay, I'll do another one to test." And before I knew it, I was, like, pumping out these little videos, and then one day I just woke up and was like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 what am I doing? This is great." And I've taken them all down because I'm like, "That was that was not, I should not have done that." But so I'm not gonna um, like bash on anybody that's used it because it's super easy and it's super addictive. But
Yes.
yeah, I think it's a bubble. It's gonna pop. And also, so many things are getting flagged as AI now. So
Yes.
I think people that were writing books with AI, it's gonna get flagged and they're gonna stop, and then it's just gonna be kind of a deal that doesn't really happen anymore. So
Yes.
I'm not super worried, but I'm trying to be an optimist of the glass is half full instead of half empty.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And as I'm sure you've also had to update your own contract so that way, as I'm had a
Yes.
lot of people on the
Mhm.
show said, a lot of narrators specifically say that if we're working together, like you are not using my voice for AI training or narration. I've even had to put that clause in my books as well. It's like this book
Mhm.
does not endorse the use of it being trained for generative AI, which ultimately I think that's the main thing that a lot of people have
Yeah.
issues with. AI has always been here. Like
Right.
autocorrect, spell check, that is AI. Generative AI is a very, very new thing. And
Mhm.
it is, as you said, very, very addicting.
Yeah.
And yeah, the witch hunts have been happening a little bit more frequently, which I don't like as an author
Yeah,
because
I don't like that either.
it's gotten too out of hand. It's gotten to a point where the indie community, I can understand. It's like, okay, recognize it, but don't automatically cry AI over
Right.
someone else's work, because that may just be how they naturally write their stories. And
Mhm.
I think the biggest one is, what was it, the M dash? People say it's like
Oh,
a an
yeah.
AI trigger, which is, an not trigger, but an indicator. It's
Yeah.
just crazy. The industry
Right.
has definitely changed. And on this topic of, the industry, I would like to go back to something that you talked about, how when you are narrating your characters, it's just your voice. It is
Right.
just you in the recording booth. But I imagine, as you probably, get a sense of the genre and the book, there are certain readers that, expect the voice to sound a certain way.
Yeah.
And it's always been like that for all stories. So I'm very curious for you, like,
Mhm.
how do you, balance the two of, like, you want to showcase your voice, but
Right.
also in a way being mindful of the genre that you are narrating in and the
Mhm.
character you are portraying.
Right. Um, I stick with romance a lot because of this, because I'm not a a fantasy. I love reading fantasy books. I love listening to fantasy book narration, but I know my strengths and my weaknesses. And so I take that to consideration a lot of when I'm auditioning for books and everything of that nature. Um, so yeah, I just know my strengths and weaknesses, and I know that it's something that I could work on. And that's one thing that if I do want to jump into um, books like Dungeon Crawler Carl, that genre of books and stuff like that, I would need to get training and everything of that nature to make sure that I'm delivering the right sound and everything that people are looking for, because it's like Shakespeare. Shakespeare has a certain way that is supposed to be delivered with beats and everything of that nature. It's kind of with different genres. Every genre has their own beat, their own drum that they go by. And you just kind of have to like either you're naturally gifted at that or you get training to get better at that particular genre. So right now
Mm,
I'm sticking with romance, modern romance, monster romances, stuff like that. But I do have done nonfiction, and nonfiction that is more of a serious, but also it's more of a teacher kind of a deal. So
mm.
I don't know.
Okay.
There's archetypes that I've learned and everything of that nature, and in kind of every book, every genre, you're one of the archetypes. So you're either a teacher or you're, and I've forgotten every other one. It has left my brain, but you just pick an archetype, a character, kind of a deal. I think I went off the rails a little bit on that question.
You're good. You're good, Jennifer.
Okay,
And
good.
this kind of leads into a set of three fun fan questions that I have for you. The
Yeah.
first one is, what is the one genre that you would love to dip your toe in for narration?
Uh huh. The one genre that I sentient romance books is one that I want to dip my toe into more. I've
Ooh.
gotten into reading sentient romance books. They're so much fun. They're so wild. They're just out of left field. It's just kind of one of those deals you're just like, this is not real at all. And it makes it so much more fun. So I think sentient romance books is one that I really want to like dip my toes into. More monster romance books. I love those. Um, so yeah, and then as far as like voice acting as a whole, I would love to do more commercial work and then also more video games and stuff. I've done one video game, but I would love to do more of those. I just want to do everything.
Okay. Now, the follow up to that,
Yeah.
what is the one genre that you would not want to narrate, and either for personal preference or you do not
Oh,
feel you'd be the best fit?
dark romance is really not for me. I'm not really a dark romance girly. There's nothing wrong with dark romance at all. I did very easily with some content and things of that nature. So I just know that dark romance just is not for me. My sister and girlfriend love dark romance, and I love that for them. Love it so much. Me, I'm very squeamish. A horror, I could not do horror books probably. I say that. I never say never is always my motto. Never say never. But those are the ones that I'm like, "Mm, I don't know. I don't know that I'm the right person for that." So, yeah.
All right. All right. And the final one, which honestly may be the most difficult one.
Uh-huh.
Now, you are also a very big reader as well.
Yeah.
Now, which book either you read as a child or as an adult that has not been adapted into an audiobook? What is the book that you would love not only to be seen as an audiobook, but
Yeah.
one that you would love to be playing one of the main characters?
Oh, that one is hard. The first book that comes to mind, and I don't even know that I would want to be in it. I just want to hear a new adaptation of it is The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton. Um,
Mm.
that was the first book I think I ever read as a child or a kid that made me cry and made me really get into the book. I think that was the first book that I read that really opened my eyes to, like, what reading is and stuff. I would love to hear that a new version of that as, like, a graphic audio where there's several different voice actors and everything of that
Ooh.
nature. I guess if I could be a character, I would be Cherry. I don't remember her having a huge part in that book, but I love that book, and I love the movie with, you know, all the Tom Cruise as a very young actor and everything of that nature. But yeah, that's the one book that it really pops into head in my head.
Nice, nice. And I'm gonna throw one book here. I don't know if you've
Yeah.
read this series, but I think you would definitely be a great fit. And I could think of many other narrators that would be the perfect cast for this. Is the Redwall series by the late Brian Jacques. Have you heard of that book series?
Mm-mm, no, I haven't.
So pretty much think of Game of Thrones, but
Okay.
made for children, but it's with animals.
Oh, okay. Okay,
It is
I'm
so
hooked.
good. It is really, really good. It actually was a TV series. There's 3 seasons. One
Uh-huh.
was on Redwall, the other was on Matimeo or Matimeo, depending on how you pronounce it. And
Yeah.
the third and final season was Martin the Warrior. And this next question, which kind of harkens back to your career in singing,
Yeah.
if you had the choice, would you want to sing an original song that's in the book?
Mhm.
Or if, let's say, the author also wrote a song that was like, an original song, like attached to the book, that's not in it, but attached to it, you
Yeah.
would like to read that. Which one would you want to do? Or if given the opportunity, would you do it?
Oh, yeah, 100%, as long as it's, like, original and everything of that nature, yeah, 100% do it. Um, I think probably the one that's in the book, like the audiobook kind of
Ooh,
a deal, yeah. Um, growing up, for some reason, I always kinda, like, wanted to be, like, a background singer kind of a deal. I didn't wanna be, like, the one at the front. I always thought it would be
right.
cool to be the one in the background. You're touring. You don't have the pressure of being, the one up there on the front and center. So I said, yeah, probably the one that's in the book and not written for outside of the book. I think I got what you were putting down. So
Yes.
yeah.
Nice. Very, very nice. We're almost near the end of this
Oh,
incredible interview,
no.
Jennifer, but
It
I
went
do have a
so
few
fast.
last I know. But I do have a few last questions I do want to ask
Yeah.
you. And this next question talks about, community and networking. And I'm wondering if you
Mhm.
can share with us what that has meant to you as someone who initially got into the industry and then after so long building her brand, building the
Mhm.
platform, and just are there any people in
Oh.
particular that you want to give a special shout out to?
Oh my gosh, there's, like, so many people, and it might almost make me teary-eyed. Yeah, there's a group of girls that I work with, they're absolutely fabulous. I've gained so many voice acting friends that I have used as, sounding boards of, "Hey, what should I do for this?" Or for branding, "Hey, does this look good?" I have one friend in particular, Sarah Zilla Studios, who
Mm,
we worked on my logo for I don't know, I had probably close to 50 to 100 different variations of my logo that we worked on, and then also, um, I'm a part of it Articulate Studios. They are absolutely fabulous. There's so many, fabulous voice actors in there, and we meet every week, and we do script workouts and everything where we try to lift each other up, but also encourage each other to grow and become better at you know, at this whole voice acting thing. Community means so much to me, because without the group of friends that I have in this industry, I probably would have given up a long time ago and stuff. So yeah, oh my god, I'm gonna get teary-eyed. But yeah, it community means the world to me, and there's too many of them to mention, um, because I don't wanna leave anybody out. I've already mentioned Sarah, so congratulations, Sarah. But everybody else, they know who they are, and they're amazing. So, yeah.
Awesome. That's amazing, Jennifer. That is absolutely amazing. And now we arrive at the final question of this
No,
incredible,
you
I
can think of
know,
more. No.
of this incredible narrator interview. I'm actually going to
Mhm.
combine a few other questions into this final one because I
Okay,
think it is really, really special. And that is almost like a scenario question. So
okay.
let's say you have been invited to a convention,
Uh-huh.
and on this panel are other narrators and voice actors that either you have met personally or that you've known in the industry,
Mhm,
and you're talking about this question, or the moderator poses this question sent to them by a person in the audience, and it's on the topic of, dealing with imposter syndrome
mm,
and what I call the narrator's block and burnout, and
mm.
trying to be your truest self in an industry that is always looking for something that's either nostalgia, which nostalgia is good, but nostalgia can only do so
So
much. And for
yeah,
someone who wants to get into the industry, again, that imposter syndrome, the burnout, the
yeah,
narration block, they may not have the voice, as you talked about before. The biggest myth is like you need a specific voice.
yeah,
And this narrator, or not, sorry, this moderator now turns to you to answer this question to the audience. How would
yeah.
you answer it? And in turn, what would be your pearl of wisdom
Mhm.
to give the audience?
You're never gonna feel ready. You're never gonna feel like, "Oh, this I've got it now. This is it." You're never gonna feel like that. I've done 40 audiobooks, and I still question, "Am I doing a good job?" kind of a deal. The best thing you can do is just show up every day, do your best, and know that not everyone is going to enjoy what you're doing, but
Mm-hmm.
there are going to be people that absolutely resonate with what you're doing. And if one person gets joy or gets, something out of what you're doing, if it's just one person, isn't it worth it? I know it's so easy to listen to. You can get 1,000 compliments and one negative review, and that one
Right.
negative thing sticks out so much, but you have to always look at the positive and stuff. And as far as imposter syndrome, Ray Porter once said, "Give your imposter syndrome a job." And I think that's so valuable because for all of us, it's almost always there. It's almost always, am I doing a good job? Am I good enough? And the answer always is, heck yeah, you are to somebody. So get out there and do it and stuff. So I don't know. I guess that I'm not the best motivational speaker, but that's my words of wisdom. You're never gonna feel like you're ready, so just get out there and do it.
Well said. Well said, Jennifer. And on that note, viewers and listeners, we conclude the August lineup here on Tales from the Wandering Scribe. I want to give a huge thank you to Jennifer for coming on the show, making her official debut on the channel. Hopefully, not the last. Now, Jennifer, where can people find you on social media if they want to reach out and connect? And if an author in the virtual audience
Mhm.
is looking for a narrator to narrate either their short story or novel, do you have a form for them to fill out?
I do. So it's on my website, VO with a Beau, BOW. It's a play on my last name, which is Beau, Beau. So that's my website, vowithabeau.com, or you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, things. LinkedIn as just Jennifer Beau, last name Beau. But yeah, you can find me in any of those places.
Awesome. I will link all that down below in the description of this
Thank you.
video. And if you'd like to see Jennifer back on the show for another narrator interview or narrator spotlight, or if you'd like to see her again in a special, which I did with another narrator and alumni, which is Into the Recording Booth, where myself and a narrator read together in dual narration some stories that I have written and would like to see Jennifer's take on some characters, maybe some fan fiction stories such as World at War, an Assassin's Creed story, Heroes United, a Justice League story, or my Star Wars fan story. You know what you have to do. Like this video, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Wandering Scribe and the Wandering Quill. Signing out. Wish you all a wonderful day wherever you are in the world. Happy Thursday, everybody, and we'll see you all in September for the next lineup. Have a wonderful day and take care.